Greetings, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here again with another episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them plus online or plus a random die generator, random number generator, and input from you, the studio audience, to randomly pick subjects. I get to that part every time I pick a who and I pick a what, and then I mash them together and I draw a cartoon of that very thing. Don't know what it is, so it's improv. I invite you, of course, to draw along with me. You don't have to draw the same thing I do, but maybe you just want to draw. Draw for the fun of it. That's what this is all about. Drawing is fun. So we're here again to do this very improv-y, cartoony thing that I do on Thursday nights. Hello, Ravenlord. Thank you for joining in. Hello, Dale. Thank you. You like my haircut? Looking good, huh? It's a little long for the summer, and if I waited too long, then I don't know. I mean, it's like this. Hopefully, it'll be nice for my trip to Wisconsin in October. It'll grow out just enough to be, kind of artsy. I won't look too much like I just came from the barber. Hello, Penny. Thank you for joining, too. So glad to see everyone. Well, we've also got a bunch of people I can see from my list watching who have not commented, and that's okay. You do not have to comment, though you are always welcome to. I'm going to come here and pick up my iPad Pro and my Apple Pencil, Apple Pencil, and the app Procreate. These are the tools I use. This is not at all sponsored. None of them sponsor me. I just say that because people want to know. What do you use? Now you know. So I'm going to pick those up. I'm going to come over here and open things on there. So when I come over and switch the button here, you can see our random encounter tables for the week. We're quickly running out of summer. Summer's coming to an end soon, and it makes me a little sad. So I'm going to try and get a few more things, like a humid afternoon, on here, because those are not going to be seasonal very soon. And you know what? Here in the Pacific Northwest, not really very seasonal anytime. We don't tend to have high humidity, but there you go. It's when I think about summer, that's one of the things I think about. Let's come on over here to our die roller, and we will get our first topic, our first prompt for the evening. So I'm going to do as I do, roll a die 3 times, and take the third one once, twice, third time, 3. Our first who is 3, and once or twice the third time, 6. 6 is our first what. 3 on a who, 6 on a what. That gives us a Gnoll, which is a canine kind of hyena humanoid thing, and sign painter, a canine sign painter, a Gnoll sign painter is our first subject. Okay, so I'm going to turn off that. I'm going to come over here to the sketch layer. I'm going to grab the color blue because I like to do my sketching in blue, and we are going to do a Gnoll sign painter. Alright, so gnolls, in general, I'm going to do a quick sketch here. They tend to have big, kind of haunchy shoulders and drooping heads with that. They often have hairy backs. Let's say they're very hyena-like in countenance. And then feet and longish arms with big claws. That's kind of what a Gnoll looks like. A cartoony Gnoll, anyway. And that's the kind I draw. But I'm going to clear that out, and we will think about a Gnoll sign painter. Alright, so I'm going to need a Gnoll. Probably could have saved that one, but let's start again, because I don't want him to be looking down. He's going to be looking up at what it is he's drawing, what he's painting on the sign. Probably going to have a painter's cap on. have him holding a bucket of paint in this forward hand, and he's going to be painting on a sign with his other hand. Now again, I've got to make sure I've got the big long claws. I've got big talony fingers. So we'll go like that. When I've drawn gnolls before on the show, sometimes, and not just here, I remember I had a character in one, a gnoll character in one comic strip that I did, and I purposely made him look a lot like Wile E. Coyote, just because that helped with the gag in the strip. But it's not, the reason that worked is it's not too far off from what they kind of look like anyway. So that's there. That's good. I'm going to move them over to the side here so that we can create a sign for him to be painting on. I guess the question should be, what is the on the sign? I'm thinking it's a sign with some kind of message sign, right? It's a those angles aren't looking right. Get rid of that. That's not. It's looking like it's going the wrong angle for where he's at. So don't always get it right the first time. It's part of drawing. There we go. So he's going to be doing that. And the question is, what is the sign that he's painting? My first thought is to have it see something like, beware of Dogman. And he's going to be smiling and happy. Because basically he's painting that he's kind of a badass. Kind of a badass. Let me zoom that out just a little bit bigger on this page so he fills that up. That's about it. Now, certainly, I'll leave room. I'll do the sign itself last. So I leave it up to you, fine folks in the chat, to give me counters. What other thing might we put on that sign which would be better or funnier than that? The floor is yours as I start working on this drawing. I'm going to have him in overalls because that's funny. Overalls, funny clothing. Like words with K are funny. Words that start with K are funny. Overalls are just funny. Alright, there we go. That's enough sketching. I can go from there. Zoom in. And, didn't want to do that. And we will go to our lines layer. And I'm going to start drawing. I always say, start with the line you're confident in. And notice that both times I drew him, I'm going to zoom out here for a second, both times I started with that back sweep because that's the posture I want to get. I want to get big swooping back with the head and the arms like that. But when it comes time to finishing it, I think that's key to kind of getting the posture and the start for this. But when it comes time to actually drawing it, I'm going to go to the head like I more often do and do that as my area I'm most confident in. Hello, Dave Lemon. Maybe Chick-fil-A, eat more human. Eat more human. That's the potential. And we're going to come here, give him a big grin. He's got kind of a Tex Avery wolf look about him right now. I'm not doing that on purpose, but it's one of the things you'll find when you just kind of sit back and draw for the fun of it and just let yourself go. That sometimes you'll get halfway through something and before you realize, oops, before you realize what the inspirations that you're pulling from, what you think, oh, I'm just kind of doing this. I don't have any inspirations. It's just how it feels. And then you think about it and you go, oh, well, clearly I do like this thing. It's in my past. It has influence on me. May not have intended it, but it's sure there. That's how I think about this, the Tex Avery-ness of this particular drawing. For those of you who don't know, Tex Avery was an animator who is most famous for having worked on some Looney Tunes stuff, but mostly it was his MGM and his MGM cartoons. He worked on Tom and Jerry and Droopy Dog, and I can't remember the name of his wolf character that showed up a lot. But then he went independent later in life, and he did a different, very similar kind of wolf that he became very famous for. There we go. I'm not going to worry a lot about the business end of the brush, but I have to get this part that he's holding done so I can do the rest of his body. Alright. Now, I guess maybe I'll go to this hand. That's holding the paint bucket. And the bucket itself. Got a sign painting Gnoll right here. Now, to some extent, this is starting to get a little busy. I often will say that I'm not sure you can see what's on there, but I can. But even I, sometimes when I've got enough lines crisscrossing over here, I'm not 100% sure which line is which until I start putting them down. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Reference says just the wolf. Alright, well, maybe I was wrong that his wolf had a particular name. I know, shocking. I'm wrong about something about a cartoon. It almost looks like a shark. Shark's dorsal fin. I want to make sure I get the feeling that this is fur and not a fin. And remember that most of the rest of this is fur too. Not his pants, of course. Because he's wearing the overalls. Oh, goodness gracious, it did it again. Continue recording. Oh, goodness. Did we drop out? Are folks watching? Give me something in the chat if you are still watching. Because my computer seemed to think that it might have dropped out. Something. This happened yesterday during my other show, and I couldn't figure out why. I spent a good long while trying to figure it out, and I couldn't. If it's happening again tonight, that makes me feel not so sanguine. But it doesn't seem like it. It's still counting like it's live, and it's still telling me that there are 7 people watching. At least. So, do me a favor, if you are hearing me blather on about this, drop a comment in the chat so that I can see it and not worry about it, because I'm not going to do anything drastic like end the stream unless, if I still think it's going on. If there's still a chance it's going on. But, I'll tell you this, I'm not happy about the fact that suddenly there's some kind of problem cropping up 2 nights in a row. No one is chatting. Well, that would be a shame if I lost the feed. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And hope that someone tells me I'm still there. And if no one does, when I finish this drawing, I'll take a peek and see what I can figure out. I think that's my best course of action. Right now, continue like all is fine, because if it turns out it's not fine, then between drawings is the perfect time for me to do something like reboot, because it'll be much easier for me to splice it all together and make a new video from it. I have a feeling. I got a feeling that we have dropped out. I have a feeling that's the case. No one's responding, then. Oh well. Oh well. Where is the problem? Where is the problem? Alright, here we go. I'm going to drop to the next layer. I'm going to go to the colors layer. I'm going to turn on my gloaming brush like I do. And then turn off the sketch layer. Just make sure that that all looks right. Get rid of that little extraneous line. See if there's... We'll go back to my inking brush because I may want to add a few things here. Just a few extras. to make it read correctly. There we go. I think that'll do. And yeah, no one's responding, so clearly the video has dropped out. No one but me is still recording here, so that's good. But no one else is seeing it. That's my guess. Alright, let's do this. Go to the gloaming brush. Brownish fur for my Gnoll. Doing the shape within a shape style loose coloring. Don't know why it really matters. I'm sitting here thinking, well, I guess I don't need to talk because no one's here, but this is, as much as any show, I need to keep talking here and pretend that people are here listening to me. Alright, so we got that there. I want a darker brown for his ruff. His mane/ruff. And I think we're gonna. The weird thing about painters is very often their coveralls are just white, which makes them just so much easier to get dirty. Use blue there. What other colors can I put on to show that we've got splotches of color from paint sessions past? Just our basic color, just the basic paint colors. There we go. I think maybe some on the hat too. Because it's just messy. There, that looks good. Want, of course, he's slopping the red on the ground here. And the brush, the tip of the brush, is also going to be that red. The brush itself, we will make that a different kind of brown for the handle, and a faux black, a dark blue faux black for the brush tip. I think I want to grab that same brown and use it for the signpost. Like that. And he said, and now I guess it's time to put on what he's painting. Now, I'm not sure whether I want to do this in the brush style. Yeah, probably. And he will be saying, "Beware of Dogman." Kinda need to get that hyphen to be a little stronger in the Dogman. Alright, and then if I come back here to the green, and put a little bit on the ground. And almost done here, almost done. Pull on and do a little bit of the highlighting like I do. The ears. You know, that one ear needs a color. I didn't give it a color. On the nails, the claw, the talons, and the claw, nails on the talons. You know what I mean. Alright, I'm going to pink for the ears. You know what, I also want to take a little bit of dirty yellow and put that on his teeth. Not to completely cover the white, but to make it look like he's got kind of foul teeth. And now maybe that same yellow, we can use that for the claws. The nails and the teeth will be the same dirty yellow color. There we go. I can come back to the inking layer with my inking brush and put a little stand on it, because here we have a Gnoll sign painter. Pretty good, I think. All right, well, I'll tell you what's going to happen right now is I am going to pause. I'm going to take this offline and then come back online and then merge the two files together, because somewhere along the line, clearly the feed got dropped. I'm going to come back just on YouTube. So, see you in a minute. Well, I'm back. Yeah, see, it sure does seem like everything crashed out in the middle, and so I had to reboot it. I came back. Here on the screen is I finished that drawing I was working on, because for a while it seemed like there might be someone watching, but they weren't. Everything was crashed. So this is the completed Gnoll sign painter. Time now, having rebooted and signed back in, to do another drawing. And maybe while I'm doing it, some of the audience who was watching will come back. And if not, it'll just be me, and then they can watch it on replay, if they so choose. So we're going to close out round 1 and turn on round 2. I'm going to come back to the random encounter tables. And we're going to go roll up another encounter. So here we go. Once, twice, a third time, 4. 4 is our who. And once, twice, a third time, 3. 3 is our what. So we'll come back to the tables here a second time, and we will see that 4 is a shambling mound, and 3 is bungee jumping. Bungee jumping, shambling mound. All right, that should be fun. Shambling mound, for those who may not know, is basically what it sounds like. It's a big mound. Well, it's a big mound of vegetation. It's like a big. If you ever seen the movie or the comic Swamp Thing or the Marvel comic Man Thing, that's a shambling mound. So it's a big humanoid shaped pile of vegetation, roots and leaves and vines, is just shambling around, zombie like. That's what it is. And in this case, bungee jumping. So we'll turn off the chart. We'll turn back on the blue for the sketching. And we'll hop right back in and try it again. Hopefully, we don't crash out a second time. All right. I'm going to start. So Shambling Mound, like I say, it's a humanoid figure. Now, bungee jumping is a strange. Wow, I don't know why I put that on. That's a really hard thing to draw in a single drawing. I often will talk about people's ideas when they come up with whether or not they make a good single panel drawing. The problem with bungee jumping, of course, is that it happens in two places. It happens at the top of wherever you're jumping off, and it happens down where you stretch out. And it's hard to get both of those things in. It is less important, with a more intelligent creature, it would be easier to make a joke at either end. Shambling Mound's not really well known for being particularly chatty or having much care about anything, particularly motivated. So I think what we're going to do is we'll have it up at the top of a cliff. All right? So that'll be the top of the cliff. And we're going to have the shambling mound have just jumped off. I'm just making a really rough shape there. And he's going to have the bungee tied to there. We're going to have a sign here that says bungee jump. It gets suppose I'll have to set it somewhere, so like Middle Earth bungee jump. Now I wish I had an audience to help me think of where it would be. Maybe it'll be the Shire. And then we can have a hobbit 4 silver. It costs you 4 silver to bungee jump in the Shire. um, and I think I know what the gag I'm writing here is. I'm not super convinced that it is even a good one. But it's just me. So that's what we're going to do. And I will save it while I do them drawing here. So I've got a very rough hewn very rough sketch. Let's go in and put some lines on it. Now this is even weirder than usual because I don't feel like I have to be especially, I say start where you're confident. Well, with something as weird and made out of a body made out of leaves, there's not a lot of worry about getting lines right. I just need to make sure that it looks like he's made out of leaves and vines and other such stuff. So I'll try my best. And we got here, I have to come along here. For the bungee cord that he's jumping attached to. It's a little weird. I think we'll have there's a big pile of bungee cord that's tied onto there. There we go. And come back and make sure we've got some things that are not just leaves, but mostly just leaves. And more leaves that have fallen off him. For a second, it looked like someone had come in to join the audience, and no one was there. I'm going to give him a big smile. Yeah, it's a little weird. But a shambling mound is just a weird creature. I know that they've looked very different in different editions of D&D, like a lot of the monsters we talk about. Um, Sometimes they are more. They seem to have more solid bodies, and sometimes they really just seem to be piles of vegetation. I'm going. I'm making them more like a living shrub than anything else. Um, in the end, it doesn't. I mean, I'm not uh, beholden to any style guide, and doesn't matter a lot. So again, like I often will say, you don't have to get it right. Right, and here in particular, I'm drawing a, a shambling mound, which no one really knows what they. Most of the audience who aren't D&D players don't know what that is anyway. But I don't have to get it right. I just have to make sure that when I say, because I'm going to say in the text, I'm going to use the word shambling mound. Otherwise, I think a lot of people wouldn't get it at all. Um, I need to make it so that when someone does see that and does see the word shambling mound, they go, "Oh, okay, sure, that seems about right." As I say, don't have to get it right. You just can't. You just got to avoid getting it wrong, making it so that when someone looks at it, they say, "No, that's not that thing." Hmm. Trying to get a hobbity haircut on this guy. And a lot of that is going to get carried in the coloring. And apparently someone is back watching. Welcome. Had another case where the connection just dropped out for no discernible reason, and it took me a while to notice. I think the weirdest thing about my deciding to make this a Shire bungee jumping is that I don't know that there are really any cliffs in in the Shire. It's pretty much a land of pastures and forests, but it's just a joke. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I'm gonna move this around. So I'm gonna want to put the text up atop, and everything else is sitting a little higher on the page than I wanted it to be. So I'm gonna grab my lines and sketch layers, and I'm gonna grab them, and I'm gonna move them lower down, so that I have room at the top to put some text in. Michael Pastor! A river levee, yeah, that might be a good place for them to have it, but it's up at the top of a cliff now because I've drawn it, and there's no reason for me to go back other than the need to be right, which I just got finished talking about. I don't need to be. All right, so I'm going to come back to the sketch layer because I don't like to try to letter without putting a guideline in for myself. And the first Hobbit is going to say something like, I've been trying to put this together in my head how to phrase it. Until I start to write it down, I won't know for sure. It's going to say, I guess even a shambling mound can sow wild oats. Which seems that could be a gag. That could be the gag on its own. But the second guy is going to say, he said it'd help him germinate. Maybe he said it helps him germinate. That's a joke. Not a great joke, but and we're going off. This whole thing is improv, and we're doing it fast. As I was talking about, I think last week I actually spent a good amount of time talking about the fact that doing these kind of jokes anyway, you want to get the idea down and then put it aside and let it percolate and germinate and get better. Your first version of it isn't really rarely going to be your best version of it. Okay, let's go back and put that on. I guess even a shambling mound. I think I need to grab that. Move it a little to the left there. Can sow wild oats. Like I say, the nice thing, the thing I like about that is it seems on its own like that could be the joke. Right? It's shambling mound sowing wild oats. So, there we go. And then he said helps him germinate. It's a goofy ass idea. But that's what this is all about. Alright, so let's grab our drawing, our gloaming brush. And Dale, you're back. Thank you. Sorry I dropped out like that. Or you may not have been here earlier. Yeah, no, everything fell out. It was crazy. I'm back though. So for as long as it lasts, I'm thinking about where the problems might be, and I have some ideas that hadn't occurred to me yesterday. Now that this has happened 2 days in a row, I've got some extra clues as to what may be the problem. Because I certainly don't want this to happen all the time. This is going to happen a lot. I'm going to figure something out. But let's come in here and kind of adding in, because I want to get that leafy feeling. I'm kind of doing the shading part of this right up front. There'll be no need to come back and shade this guy. So I do want to no, come on. There we go. Alright, and then we're going to have like a safety orange strap on his leg. And the bungee, tell you what, the bungee, I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going to make the bungee multicolored. And right now, doing it just spacing out these reds, it's looking kind of like a peppermint stick. But I'm going to go in and add some other colors. I'm going to add a blue into there too. And that will change it so it no longer looks like a peppermint stick. Well, I guess maybe it still does a little, but less so. What else? What else? Oh, I want to grab that green and put it along there so we see that he's jumping. And now we're gonna do the plank and our hobbitses. Don't forget the hobbits' feet are hairy. This guy's this guy's feet are gonna the carpet is gonna match the stucco, as it were. Let's see. Maybe a blue for a jacket. Darker blue for pants. And no, that's a little, I don't know. That's not right. That ain't right. There we go. And we've got to put the sign here. Shire bungee jump. 7 silver. But, we'll put that in a gold color just because. Maybe it'll fool someone and they'll pay in gold instead, and the hobbits will get a bonus. And there we go. I'm not so sure that Shambling Mound. I did the yellow, the green on the eyes. Seemed like a good idea, but it's making it harder to read his eyes as eyes. Maybe a yellow? Maybe go for a light yellow? I don't know that I want it to. Oops. I don't know that I want it to be white, but there we go. That's better. They stand out more. They were kind of fading in before, or just kind of blending in too much. All right. There we go. I think we about got that. I'm going to come back to my lines layer and come back to my line, my inking. I want to maybe a few more action lines. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. We'll put a stand down here near the bottom of the cliff. And we have a Shambling Mound bungee jumping. I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's a weird mix, and you come up with a joke that no one ever asked for. The dice asked for it. That's who asked for it. I don't think that this is an award-winning joke in any of its senses. On the other hand, I've now come up with a Shambling Mound gag that I never would have otherwise. All right. I'm seeing more weirdness. My feed is a little jumpy. Something's going on. I'm gonna have to spend some time figuring out what's going on with my system. But not right now, because right now it's time for one more quick little sip on the soda. And then to come here and close out round 2. Oh, for those of you who may have missed it, a Gnoll sign painter was our first, our number 1 thing. And it's time for round 3. So turn on round 3. Turn on our encounter tables. And I'll do it again, another little sip. Oh, how sweet it is. And we will go and roll it one more time. So, once or twice a third time, and two. Two is our who. And once and twice and third time, two is also our what. So 2 and a 2. That gets us an ogre on a humid afternoon. Ogre on a humid afternoon. Okay. Turn back on the blue for sketching. Studio pen is on. Sketch layer is where we're at. Yes. And ogre on a humid afternoon. Well, I've just been drawing ogres for another assignment that I'm working on. I'm going to do that kind of ogre. Got a fan here. Have an ogre just kind of sitting there, being overheated. Sweaty so much to have a pool under him. Yeah, well, he's going to be sweating. I'm thinking about having him dip his feet in a kiddie pool, but that's not looking like it's working out right there. Other than drawing a sweaty ogre, I don't really have a secondary gag in this at the moment. So let's see if we can ponder us up some possibilities. I'm not sure what he's sitting on. It had a little chair underneath him that wasn't reading right, and then I started drawing this into a rock, and it's just becoming a mess. Oops. Switch to marker. Oh, studio pen. Oh, I turned off. There we go. You gotta, you sometimes have to troubleshoot what's going on, and very often what's going on is that you inadvertently hit a button, and I inadvertently switched over here on the left. You'll see there are these two slides. The one on the top changes the size of the brush that I'm drawing with, and the one at the bottom changes the opacity of the line I'm drawing. Now, you often will see me changing the opacity on an entire layer, but let me just show you. So if I go like that, that's full opacity. But if I drop this line down, I can do the same thing, and it draws it as more see-through, right? You can, well, if I drop it lower, you can see through that line I'm drawing. But you generally want to draw with the full opacity. But not drawing that big. I don't know. I'm not thinking of another gag that goes with this. See, having them sweat into a pool is not for me. I find that idea gross. And I know that that's the point. But I'm finding it gross enough that I don't want to draw it. I think maybe I'll just, like the ogre, take it easy and let it just be a big sweaty ogre. Why not? I had a big wide mouth that I was thinking about there, but I think that I'm going to give him a kind of whoo, whoo. It's tough being a big-bodied monster on a hot and humid day. Alright, that'll do. Let's come to our lines layer. Tell you, as I said, I've been drawing some ogres for an assignment that I'm working on, a project that I'm working on. And as I start this almost feels like it could be one of the drawings for that assignment. There's a lot of just interesting characters or characters like in weird situations. Like it's an ogre on a hot sweaty afternoon, and they'll be, of course, not I'm doing the drawing. It's not up to me to be responsible for creating the reason for it. That comes from the people that are doing the writing part, the narrative part of this. I'm just making the illustrations that go along with it, and uh, so my job is kind of like when I say with the other cartoons, my job is to make sure that when someone reads the text that goes along with it and they look at the picture, they go, oh, okay, yeah, that is a hot, sweaty ogre. And if it doesn't work because the text doesn't sell it well enough, well, my drawing can still be a successful drawing because it told the story it needed to tell. And I'm in no way, this sounds like I'm picking on the writers. They're not asking me to do things that seem weird and are hard to sell. But there are sometimes things like this that I'm like, wow, I understand how you got there, but if you'd asked me what I thought I'd be drawing, it never would have been that. Here we go. I've had a lot of ability to create the visual language of this thing that I'm doing. And so I've created these ogres that have these weird little spine ridges that go start in their forehead and go over the top and down their backs. Why? I don't know why. I just kind of liked it. Ogre on a hot, sweaty afternoon. You see, I'm doing these. There's I guess, another lesson for things you can do just by shifting the line weight, and by doing these little beads of sweat in a much lighter line, a much thinner line. They help to sell the idea that there's something that's on top of the shape of the thing is defined by these larger, thicker lines. But I can add these other lines to it because they are so much thinner. You're going to read like sweat just kind of dripping off. Suppose the other thing I really could do is maybe put a sun up in the sky, put some kind of indication that it's a hot day and it's not the ogre just sweating for no reason. But I don't think it really needs that. Alright, let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we've got here. Looking pretty good. I want to add a few more bits and bobs here. Just a little bit to help set the tone. Make sure everything feels like it should. I'm going to say it's hard to be a big heavy creature on a hot, sweaty day. That's no fun, I can tell you. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. Got his eyes half lidded. Those. Okay. I like that. Tell you what I'm going to do. When I go for the colors, I'm even going to switch my palettes. This is the palette. This is Zombies and Such palette. Is the one that I do. That yellow is the one that I've been using for the ogre, so I'll use it here too. Switch to our gloaming brush. Switch to the colors layer, and I'm going to make the brush bigger because this is a big ogre with a lot of large spaces, and the body is not made up of small spaces. So we can use a bigger brush. But again, you see that I'm doing the coloring based on the shapes within the shapes. I want to close it up. We're going to get some finer body parts that need a little more control. Okay. And I'm going to right away do my shading on this because I'm going to get out of this palette in a second. this color is going to need to be a little darker than it is in my when I'm drawing in that other project. I'm doing the other project, I'm doing more controlled coloring. And so I'm not using, I can use a subtler color. But here, given how broad everything is, that subtle was not reading right. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to come back and switch my palette back to this one I usually use, my iconic palette. And what do we need? We need to do the loincloth. So it's clear our sweaty ogre is not a sweaty naked ogre. Although I guess if no one else is around, he could be as naked as he wants to be. And it being a hot day, sometimes that's exactly what you want. You want to sit around naked, fanning yourself. Or so I hear. Not that I know. That's a joke. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. You gotta stay cool. An ogre's gotta stay cool. And then we're gonna use this blue here for the sweat. And on the body too, I'm just gonna add a little bit of blue on these sweaty spots to increase the fact that they read like little sweat rivules, little rivules of sweat. And he's sitting on a rock. Give a second shade to the rock. There we go. Now I just need a little bit for the fan like that, and I think we've got an ogre on a humid day. So come back to the lines layer, back to my inking brush, and I'll put a little sand down here in the corner. And we have ourselves an ogre on a humid afternoon. Not bad. Not great, not bad. So there we go. Let me have a little sip, and we'll do a wrap up. Everyone ready? All right. Well, I had a little bit of tech trouble, but nonetheless, we got through 3 drawings tonight, which is a lot of fun. I've got a ogre on a humid afternoon here. That was number 3. Our number 2 was a Shambling Mound bungee jumping, which may be the most kind of random thing I've done in quite a while. And number one, our first drawing was a Gnoll sign painter. And so, those of you who have made it through, thank you very much for getting this far. Thank you, Michael and Dale, and anyone else who has been watching here on the reconstituted second half of this. And anyone who's watching on replay, thank you very much, too. Get out of this view here. So it's just me, and I'm going to say thank you all for joining me for another episode of Random Encounters. If you've enjoyed this, you may want to check out some of my other stuff. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Stanex, where if you want to become a patron of my art, you can. If that's not what you're looking for, then I can understand that. Maybe you just want to go to my Instagram, instagram.com/Stanex, where almost everything I draw, I used to say everything I draw that gets publicly available, but I've fallen behind, and there's some things that are probably never going to make it on there. Almost everything I draw that I make publicly available ends up on that Instagram, so it's a good place to just go and take a broad swath of Stan. Given that humidity drawing, I'm not sure I want to say it that way again, but there we go. Broad swath of Stan. Over at instagram.com/Stanex. I will be back next week. Hopefully without tech trouble. To do another episode of Random Encounters Improv Cartooning. I hope you'll join me, and until then, I hope you have a good week. Thanks. Bye.